What difference does focus make is somebody that is an entrepreneur? Because most of the people that are listening to this podcast are entrepreneur, they're business owner.
Really kind of defining your niche. Like, we could say, for instance, I want to be a consultant that provides one, two, three. He said, that's great, but he said, if you really get to the I am a consultant that specializes in A, and that's going to offer value to the customer for B.
As one instead of maybe the other, are there things of important that you should have focused on then, knowing what you know today?
Yeah, I think one of it is starting to be curious and starting to narrow down and be very specific and focused. Like, for instance, as I mentioned, I had quite a few instances. I learned about the advertising career, I learned about consumer packaged goods, and I learned about telecommunications. It's really being focused and really understanding a particular industry really well, and then just being curious about the world because business is not only about the products and goods of what you do; it's around everyday life. So what's going on in the economy? What's going on in local communities? How do people operate and what is their behaviors? So understanding that early on, so learning, reading the Wall Street Journal, reading trade publications, going to conferences, things of that nature. That becomes very much a teacher as you're trying to learn the overall scope because it's not just about the particular company you work for, it's about everything that's around you that informs the strategy, it forms the financial plan, and it ultimately informs how you deliver and execute against that plan.
I like what you said there about the focus. So I'm curious, what difference does focus make is somebody that is an entrepreneur? Because most of the people that are listening to this podcast are entrepreneur, they're business owner. So today, what difference does it make to have focus in your, maybe as you are getting started in your business adventure?
I think as somebody has told me recently, it's about being deliberate and being focused. So I was on a call recently with an individual as I was networking. And he said, really kind of defining your niche. Like, we could say, for instance, I want to be a consultant that provides one, two, three. He said, that's great, but he said, if you really get to the I am a consultant that specializes in A, and that's going to offer value to the customer for B. That one lets people know particularly what your value proposition is. Two, what type of service and value you offer, and then three, it helps them to if it's not only the person that you're trying to reach, as a particular customer, it helps them then position them to say, okay, I know that I'm looking for a consultant that helps to hire senior level HR executives. That can be in manufacturing, that can be in software development, that can be in telecommunications, et cetera. I think it helps to really narrow down your customer segment, and also when you're going out to do informational interviews or quite frankly business prospecting, it can give people a guideway to really say, okay, this is something a service I know it could be of value. I can introduce you to one or three people, or this may be something that we need to talk about more that can then lead us to a potential conversation, proposal, and hopefully and ultimately a deal.
Now, this problem of not being able to focus, because that is something that is happening to everybody. When you just made mention of that, I know it happened to me, it happened to everybody. If you are starting a business, this the shiny thing syndrome is there. Because of course, if you are a business, because you have idea in your head, no? So we can't say that don't think. It's not possible not to think, no? So, but we need to work to be able to suppress some idea and focus on some part of it. So the question that I want to ask you is, why do you think some people have challenges being able to focus? Because like you said, if you don't focus, you'll never be able to make any headway because you have limited amount of energy that you can disperse. If you just begin to throw it here and there, you're not going to go anywhere. But if you focus that energy on a small radius, you're going to amount to something. But why are we not able to do that? That is my question.
Sure. I think part of it is we're in a very on-demand type of economy now. We have things on our cell phones that are coming to us very constantly. Our emails, our social media, our text messages, phone calls. So our brains are doing multiple things at one time and trying to multitask and process a lot. And so that's where I think one, our focus gets from, I'll just say, if I'm looking at my text message, all of a sudden my phone pings, I get an email, I get an alert about a sale, things like that. I think it's around, and I've heard this one time from Robert Herjavec, how do we focus in on the three things daily we need to do? And I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's about what are the core three things I'm looking to do. Firstly, as I launch, so I may have 5 or 10 big ideas. How do I get that narrowed down through customer research, through interviews, and through understanding the market to really focus in on the one thing well? Then the second thing is on a day-to-day basis. Then with those three things, how do I prioritize the top three things that are going to get me closer to launch, closer to getting closer to customers, and then acquiring customers as well. I think taking a mindset of doing things at three that I know that works well for me is a very effective tool. And then secondly is creating my space and my environment so that I can, to the extent I can, be very structured and be very deliberate of how I use my time each and every day. You're going to have to work on it. You have to be, I say, give yourself some grace, but also just make sure that you're executing and doing the best you can, because no matter where you start in small beginnings, if you do those things and you do those things over time, you'll not only land the results, but I think you'll land to where you want to be. And or if you're learning from that, you'll learn, adapt, adjust, and then keep moving forth.
Thank you so much for that. You are speaking from experience, and that is actually the beauty of what we are doing here, that we bring in different experts to come and share their experiences. And the person who is learning now, who is on the other receiving end and listening to you now, they look at you, they see what you have achieved, they see where you are coming from. That is also why we don't just come and say, tell me what you do. No, we say, who are you first? You see, we take some time to learn that you were born in Chicago, how you were growing up and all of that. That brings the humanity forward so that people know that you are a human being, not just an algorithm. And now, when you begin to explain the algorithm, it makes a lot of sense because we know where you are coming from. We know you as a human being. So for somebody that is here listening now, I want you to speak to this individual that it is normal if you are just having all this shining object if you are starting. What is not normal is that you're going to remain like this forever. So is it why? So my question therefore would be, what do you say to this individual who probably are thinking that something is wrong with them, that they have this shiny thing? Because they are not yet mature. You are amateur. So you will make all this mistake. So what do you say to this individual?
Yeah, I think one thing I'll say is, every day is going to be day one for you. You're going to be learning. You're going to be figuring out. You may have some failures. You may have to adjust over time. Never fret in small beginnings, because each of us has a big idea that was given to us and planted into us. Then we go out and say one day, I'm going to go ahead and take the leap. The analogy I always use is, I'm going to jump out in 10 feet into the pool, but I'm trying to swim back to 4 feet because I want to learn how to make it. As I'm going from 10 to 8, 6 to 4, I'm going to learn a lot in that process, in that way. And I think it's around being patient, being disciplined as you do so, but always believing in yourself. There's going to be naysayers. There's going to be moments of doubt or uncertainty. But if you believe, if the market is the right market and you have the right customer segment and you're very clear on your focus, things like that, things will happen over time. Success is not an overnight thing. It's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen in 1 month and 1 year. But if you're committed to it, if you're learning, you're working on it, the business each and every day, and you're center and core to who you are, and you have a support system, all things are possible. So I think it's belief. I think